grab a notebook and a pen to take notes if you'd like. But again, the replay is going to be in the classroom and the slides are going to be in there as well. Okay. So ultimately, grief is energy, and we're here to learn how to move through it and not stay stuck in it. So welcome, welcome. What to expect through this workshop is we're going to understand grief as an energetic experience. I'm going to be sharing about the R.I.P method, the guilt method, and the death methods. This will be a refresher if you've seen it before with a little bit of a twist. I'm going to be sharing some guided meditation along with some Reiki techniques for grief release. And you're going to walk away with some real practical tools for everyday healing. Okay. I did want to share about school. And for those of you watching the replay, I want to share about the school platform. And I should have brought that up. I'm sorry. Anyway, I got to log in. I had to restart my computer and it's all a mess. Hello, retrograde season, right? All right. So if you're in school, if you're thinking about joining school, we welcome you. School is the place where I hold these workshops. You'll get firsthand experience. You'll also be able to talk to other people who are going through similar things, safe space, grief lounges, et cetera, et cetera. So there are leaderboards and shout outs and a way to post and to get replays whenever you'd like. All right. So a little bit about Death Doula Beth. Who is she? She's me. I am a certified death doula. I'm a Reiki level 3 Usui practitioner. I am certified in the group Nushu group modality, and I'm a meditation teacher. I also am very, very passionate about educating and making it fun while doing that. And my motto is, we don't truly live until we've been with someone who's dying. So I'm a real big proponent on giving resources and having resources available and lifting people up. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about me. So because I'm an educator, I like to break down what we're learning about today. So what is grief? Sometimes, we think we know the meaning behind it, but the true meaning behind grief is a normal response to major loss, such as a death of a loved one. And I also put grief may also be felt by a person with a serious long-term illness or a terminal illness. It's not just us who experiences grief while losing someone, it's also the person experiencing the thing that they're going to eventually die from. I would also like to mention that if you are easily offended by the word fuck or shit or any sort of curse words, this is probably not the video or workshop for you because we get real here, and some of those do come out. So, but we have to understand, things before we can move from it. And so grief can show up in so many different ways, but essentially grief is love with nowhere to go. Grief is one of those things where, we just love our person, or we love the thing, or we love a past version of ourselves, and now it just has nowhere to go. Okay. And when we're experiencing grief, the body releases stress hormones, which can affect various systems like the immune system, which can lead to possible illnesses or susceptibility towards illnesses. But grief is essentially a full body experience. The way grief shows up can sometimes be misleading. It can look like some other things, like having muscle tension and aches, fatigue or low energy, digestive issues, sometimes too fast or sometimes way too slow. Sleep disturbances, obviously, that feels like a common theme. But other things like shortness of breath and tightness in the chest and throat. Heartbreak is a real thing, is a real condition. So people will have heart palpitations and heart pain, and of course the changes in appetite. So grief can look like a lot of different things in in different people. There is no timeline. There is no right way for it to show up because everyone is uniquely going to experience grief in the way that's meant for them. And so where I really like to lean into is like, how does grief get stuck in our body and in the energy field? Because when we are experiencing something, it either has to come out or we have to process it, or like it's stuck there. And so um, emotion is energy in motion, right? Emotion is energy in motion. And when we suppress grief, it gets stored in our bodies. Somewhere, someplace, it gets stored in our bodies. And so common places that I've seen it manifest in is the lungs and the heart. And that's where we get our breathlessness, our tightness in the chest, literally heartbreak, right? That's a physical, visceral reaction to grief. I've seen people carry it in their throat, which is a difficulty in expressing emotions. I've even seen sore throats or dry throats. And then, of course, in the shoulders and back, because you're carrying this invisible weight. And, just because we think that we're carrying it well doesn't necessarily mean that we are carrying it well. Like our bodies will tell us exactly where we're holding in grief or heavy emotions, and it's a heavier emotion. So we're really going to feel it in the sense of like um, physical manifestations. Yeah. Okay, so what is the goal here? We're not trying to get rid of it. We're not going to get rid of it. We're not going to say, "Poof, be gone." The goal here is to move, release, and integrate the grief instead of holding on to it. There's no one here that's going to try to make you feel better. There's no one here that's going to make it disappear, go away. Your grief is valid. Your grief is yours. And, you know, it's hard. It's hard living with grief. And so I get it. But to move it and release it and integrate it. So how do I release this shit? I told you, we dropped a little bit of words. You've got to feel it to heal it. And so um, this part is where like most people get stuck, right? Because like we don't want to feel the grief. We don't want to like experience the grief, right? We don't want to cry, or like we don't have the time to cry, or we just don't have time for it. We gotta move past it, get to the next thing, because work is calling us back in 3 to 6 business days, depending on who we lost, right? So oftentimes I'll see someone like in my work that will come like years and years after they lost their person. They're like, I don't understand why I'm still experiencing this grief. I've lost them like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, even 30 years ago. And to that I say, well, how much have you felt that grief? I hear a saying sometimes that we don't really truly uh, finish our grief with this person until we cry every single tear that is meant for them. And I firmly believe that. So you got to feel it to heal it. And so I made up, I don't know why my voice is going all funny. I just recorded another video for social media and I really got into it. So maybe that's what's going on. Anyway, so here are the methods to moving through grief and to really to move through it. Yeah, because I'm more focused on the solution, right? We're not focusing on the problem. So this is just a refresher. This is the fastest way. This is the one where, if you're short on time and you just need to get through it. You got to rip right through it, right? So R.I.P, recognize the grief, name it, find it. Usually it's in the body somewhere, usually in those places, either the lungs, the heart, the shoulders, the throat, sometimes in your legs. It's an equal opportunity grief heaviness. So you can find it anywhere it appears in the body. I invite acceptance. So allowing yourself to acknowledge it without judgment. Because oftentimes when we experience grief, there's often this level of like judgment that goes to it. Like, I shouldn't feel this bad after this much time. Or, you know, the I lost my person 20 years ago. Why do I feel this way? That's a judgment call. There's, you know, we're feeling the grief. It's okay. And sometimes we cry and cry and cry and we feel it and it still feels like it's there. But just allowing that acceptance to be there without any sort of like secondary thought is really important. And then P is practicing releasing it. I'm going to get into more of that in the future slides. So, but practicing it, finding out what works for you in the moment. It's not going to look the same each and every time. It's going to look different. It's going to look, maybe it'll look the same, maybe it'll be something different. And if you do have something different and you're watching the replay, please share like what that different is, because I feel like sharing is caring. And the more that we share what works for us, the more it could help someone else. And so, yeah, practice releasing it. So something like breath work practice or body scans and meditation, mantras, like a mantra that I really like here is, I honor my grief and I allow it to flow through me. So I honor my grief and I allow it to flow through me. And that's just one that has helped me. But again, sharing is caring. So if you have another mantra that works for you or another modality, please do share. All right, so method number 2 is guilt, G-U-I-L-T. This one, if you have a little bit more time to delve in a little bit deeper, like I would say, give yourself an hour where you don't plan anything, where you don't, you're not expected to be anywhere, that you're, you know, that you're just able to be present, that you're able to be, to give yourself the space and the time to be able to really feel it. Because here, feel the feeling. Allow yourself to feel it fully. I know it doesn't start with a G, but I think that would, you know, I think it's really important that we start with feel it fully. And I just didn't notice it until now. So um, I'll fix it up if I go back into my notes. You understand its root. Where is it coming from? Uh, you know, because it can come from, like, grief comes from so many different places, right? It can be from the loss of, you know, a person. It could be even, you know, grieving our younger selves. It could be grieving a pet. It could be grieving that person that's a staple in your everyday life that you don't normally talk to, like the cashier behind the cash register when you get your morning coffee, and they're just a staple. Like, where is it coming from? Identify its purpose. So is it serving you or holding you back? Let it go with intentional practice and rituals and transform it. When we transform it and recognize that grief is actually an essentially love with nowhere to go, we can then transform it. But understanding it and taking the time to allow yourself the space to fully grieve and to fully feel and to fully get into it, that's where the true healing happens, you know. It takes intentionality because, you know. And so a journaling prompt that I like to add with this is, what part of grief am I holding on to that I'm ready to release? So if you're a journaler, if you like to put pen to paper, what part of grief am I holding on to that I'm ready to release? Because again, we're not releasing all of the grief. There's no way to release all of the grief. We're not trying to remove it from us. In fact, the more we resist it, the more it'll persist, right? And so what part of that can we release? Can we just a little bit, take the pressure off, you know, just open the pressure cooker, relief valve, just a little bit. Okay. Now, the third method I had taught before in the releasing your guilt workshop, and it's death. Now, don't ever avoid true healing is nice, but I said, I reworked it for grief. And so I put it into this. D, don't suppress emotions. Express what you're feeling, journaling, talking, creating. That can look different for everybody. Again, we're so unique. We're going to all experience grief in so many different ways. And even when something has worked for us before, it's not going to work for us again, and that's normal. And the interesting thing is, like, grief can keep us stuck in isolation, thinking that we're terminally unique and that no one's going to understand what we're going through. And, we don't know unless we talk about it, right? So expressing how we feel. And I put some resource slides at the end of this for helpful tips on how to talk to loved ones or professionals when talking to someone. So accept that the unpredictability of grief, because grief can hit like sideways in the middle of a grocery store. You hear a song, or you're just going about your daily life, and then bam, a memory comes up and you're like, well, shit, I wasn't ready for that. Fuck, that came out of nowhere. Like, what the hell? So just accepting that it's just unpredictable. And also just like gonna nudge this in here that maybe, perhaps, just maybe, just a possibility. I wonder if, I'm curious to know that if we would share those moments with someone who's beside us, whether it be a stranger or someone that is part of our circle, and just say, I am experiencing a shit ton of grief right now, and I just need to say that. And it can open up a conversation. Um, and seen I've seen so much that strangers often offer such a more open space for these types of conversations. It's interesting that we can open up to strangers more, because there is no like backstory. There is no like sticky parts of the relationship. It's just a listening stranger. I call them angels on earth, or, spirits on earth. And I firmly believe that true healing happens in community with others. Like, we're not lonely pillars. We're meant to be in community. And so taking care of your body and your energy. So this means self-Reiki or movement of some sort. Have you taken Reiki before? Are you? No. Well, you're going to learn how to do Reiki today. I have a lot in this workshop, and I want to make sure I get through it all. I usually do introductions in the beginning, so thanks for sticking with me. But you're going to learn how to do some Reiki in this workshop, so you can give yourself the self Reiki, and some, because emotion because emotion is motion in general. Am I saying it right? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Because we're stuck on it. We're just going to keep moving because we're stuck on it. And we're pressing it down. Movement will sometimes move it around our body. And so gentle things like yoga is really helpful. And, trauma especially is stored in our hips. So it's normal that when we're doing practices like yoga or running, it creates this visceral feeling of like a rising of feelings, like, oh, I'm feeling again. So, and when it does happen, holding space for yourself, and then others when you're ready. Our typical like wanting to show up for others and be there for others and support others. It's like we got to show up for ourselves first before we show up for others. And that's it seems like a typical theme when it comes to like this particular space. But remember, when we're focusing more on the outside, we're not allowing the healing to happen inward. And so shame will keep us stuck, right? Shame will keep us quiet. Shame will keep us exactly where we are. And, the thing behind it all is that grief is messy. Grief is messy and sometimes ugly, and it is just, it is uncomfortable. I get it. It's gross. I don't want to feel it. But don't ever avoid true healing. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to take a little quick pause here. Any questions so far? Let me stop the share so I can see your beautiful faces. Little face.
I'm good.
You're good.
Just, yeah.
Do you want to take this moment to share who you are and what?
Um, I lost my husband 2 years ago. My husband, 33 years. And it sneaks up on you. It I'm usually good like all day long, but it's really hard to like I don't know, like break down in front of people, because I just it's really hard to um make other people uncomfortable with my emotion. So I try to just, you know, do it in the shower when I break down. But it sneaks up on me. It, you know, I'll go like days without losing it, and then a tear. Oh, but I try not to apologize. It's hard. But I'm really glad I found you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing your heart and your grief with us. Yeah. Because this is recorded, are you okay with this being recorded, or would you like me to cut this out?
No, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm good.
And I just want to name that you sharing exactly what you did is probably going to help so many people who are watching the replay in knowing that they're not alone and knowing that that feels normal too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some days are good. Other days are crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you too. Fania, would you like to share? Are you driving?
No, I'm parked. Yeah, just share a little bit about myself and uh how I landed here maybe. I'm Fania and let's see. I know Beth through another meditation community, and I've always had a very interesting relationship with grief. Um, I have like my grandparents died when I was very young, and one of them I was close to. Um, but I don't know the experience. I think I was too young to really understand what was happening. And more recently, I've just had a lot of pets die. Um, and the deaths have been unexpected and pretty tragic. And just like a general, I don't know, learning how to navigate this general feeling of, I guess it's eternal grief. Um, some call it, I don't know, if it's like depression and anxiety, masking. Um, but I just have found that as I've grown, I've gotten better at dealing with my emotions and the things that come up, but some things feel super unmanageable. Um, and and I've never really been part of a community or a part of a group of people who are willing to listen and to also share their experiences and not judge or at least try to be understanding and put themselves in everybody else's shoes. Um, and yeah, I've always had a general interest in how people process emotion and how people interact with each other based on their current state. Um, and I'm also an educator, so these sessions and these courses for me are kind of, you know, I don't really know what word to use, but I take the information in for myself and then I transmute it and I see where it fits into my own teachings and how I interact with the world. Um, So a lot of these things, I find them really helpful and really useful to navigate when I'm in a situation that I haven't experienced. How can I respond to somebody who is expressing really deep grief? I've had a lot of family members who have passed, and I've been there when, my other family members get the call or whatever it may be. And um, those are really challenging situations to be the bystander and not really know what to do or how to handle uh, somebody experiencing grief and being in that space. So yeah, I just thank you, Beth. I love that there's this group and an open line of communication, because I've always been interested in immersing myself in this type of work and in this world, but there's so much stigma and fear around it that it's very hard to just say exactly what's on your mind. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited, and I might have to leave early, but thank you so much for creating this space, and I can't see what comes out of this.
Thank you, Fania. So good to see your face. And thank you both for sharing. Okay, so how about we learn about Reiki. So if you're new to Reiki, Reiki isn't like woo-woo crazy out there. Wow. It is a gentle, non-invasive energy healing practice. Um, it helps to heal and clear energy blockages, promote emotional balance. When we learn Reiki, we learn it in 3 different ways: Reiki 1, Reiki 2, and Reiki 3. Reiki 1 is all about self-care first. We learn about taking care of ourselves. So we are just giving ourselves Reiki until we get to level 2. And so every practitioner has a teacher that teaches a little bit differently. But my teacher said, all Reiki 1 is about doing it yourself. And my question to her, because I'm a perfectionist by trade, recovering perfectionist going forward. And I said, well, what if I do it wrong? And she told me, there's no right or wrong way to self-Reiki. So when it comes to doing Reiki, it's sort of like when you give someone a hug and you linger there just for a minute longer, just for a second longer, and you just feel that love radiating from you to them, right? Or when you think of someone and you're like, I'm thinking of you, I'm praying for you, sending you good vibes, I'm sending you good energy. That is Reiki. So just putting a name to it uh, is Reiki. So Reiki is just using hands, and you can hover or you can touch. Touch is very healing, but some people are very activated by touch. So hovering is always the first step, and then asking for consent to touch. But with yourself, it's like, what feels good for me? Do I need to feel touch right now, or do I just need to hover, or what do I need right now? And sometimes we don't know what we need. And so to that, I just say, just start somewhere. Just start somewhere and then go for it. And then you'll know intuitively, right? Because in the throes of grief, we're just like, I don't know which way is up, which way is down. So just know that there's no right or wrong way, and that you can practice this in your own way. And yes, I do teach Reiki classes. I haven't taught any recently or even promoted that because, death doula work. But if you're interested in learning more, going deeper, just let me know. I'd be happy to teach you. But for the sake of this workshop, we're going to focus on 3 different spots. Okay. And so placing your hands over your heart, and the intention behind that is to soothe yourself and to give yourself some self-compassion and just to refill that heart space. Hands over your stomach, If you're having stomach problems or emotional overwhelm, I always like to put my hands on my stomach because that's where like that overwhelm is stored. Like if you're like, oh, like I don't know where to start. I have to-do list everywhere. Just put your hands. Seems very counterintuitive because like it all feels up here, but you know, it helps. And then hands over the throat. If you're finding yourself stuck in what to say, putting your hands over your throat, you know, helps ease, you know, the sore throat and also supports expressing those emotions that are kind of stuck. So if you're not driving, Fania, or if you're watching this replay, if you're not driving, then you can do this practice, but you can do this camera on or camera off. Okay. So just know it's recording me and the screen right now. So if you have your camera on. So Self-Reiki starts with putting your hands together, taking a nice deep breath to get grounded. And just feeling into like this moment, even just for a second. And so with your hands together, you have this energy that's always coursing through your body, right? So this energy, center it and focus on the palms of your hands. And soon you will begin to feel a ball of energy, just like magic. You'll feel it spinning, maybe you'll feel it buzzing, but soon you will find that you will feel this ball of energy in between your hands, right on your palms. And maybe your palms start to get warm. Sometimes rubbing your hands together can make it go, but putting your hands together and feeling that ball of energy grow and grow in the palm of your hands. And it's okay if you don't feel it. Right? There's no right or wrong way. And so once you get centered and once you put the intention, where do I want to put my hands? Place your hands on where you feel the grief in your body. And usually it feels heavy, or maybe it just feels intuitively your hands go. Maybe it's over your heart. Maybe it's over your stomach. Just let them sit there, feeling the warmth, feeling the energy come from your palms, both hands on you or hovering, and just feeling the energy. And the Reiki will go wherever it needs to go. The healing energy will go wherever it needs to go. And for about a minute, holding and visualizing and just sensing that the healing energy is going exactly where it needs to go. And whenever you're ready, nice deep breath in, sigh it out, remove your hands and then shake. And it's like shaking the energy off. And like starting new. Sometimes I like to rub my hands together. Thank you. Now the Reiki energy, the way that it was explained to me and taught to me was God, source, universe. The main energy is coming through into my body and into wherever I place my hands. So giving it back to self and really filling up like your body and going to where it's needed. So. How does that feel? Let me know. Let me know. I'm curious. I'm curious. Okay.
That was pretty wild for me. Just a short time of um tuning in and feeling my hands on me. It was like kind of brought a little tear to my eyes, you know, very feeling very at ease, like I was very held.
Yes.
I could
Thank
really feel the warmth, the warmth. And it was, I don't know, it felt interesting. It was interesting. I could really feel the deep breath when at the end too. That really helped.
Mm. Thank you both for sharing. Yeah. So you can do that at any time, any place, anywhere. It's always in your back pocket, and you can even do it nonchalantly. People are not even noticing, right? Um, and so that's the beautiful thing about Reiki. And you can also do it distance too, to your future self or to your younger self, but that's in level 2 or 3. But just know you can't ever, ever, ever do it wrong or right. And you're doing it exactly the way that you're meant to. Okay, so I just wanted to touch on some other self-care practices for grief release. I know we're kind of cutting it on time because I still have some other things that I want to share too, but some self-care practices, like I said before earlier, sometimes they'll work once and they won't work the next time. Sometimes they'll work consistently, but just know that like it's okay. It's okay if things don't work exactly the way that they're meant to each and every time. So prioritizing self-care. So I have sleep, nutrition, and movement. Notice how I don't put spa day or getting your nails did. In today's economy, when eggs are $8 a carton, no thank you. No sir, no ma'am, no they them. Um, Sleep is probably the number one thing for self-care, especially when going and experiencing grief, because when it comes to grief, the more that we stay up, the more it perpetuates the cycle of depression and tiredness through the day. And coupling that sleep with movement, um, really, I've seen a lot of wonderful things happen. So just moving gently your body, even if it's like weird, like crazy cuckoo lasso kind of movements. Um, Sometimes that helps too. So obviously relaxation techniques such as meditation and breath work and Reiki. Breath work is really good because it also includes that movement when we're doing 4-2-6 breathing, box breathing. There's also other breath work teachers who are out there, and they do like really fast movements with their breaths. D.E.A.T.H Simkin is a really wonderful breath work and meditation person that I follow as well as Yogi Brian. But with the movement of the air in the lungs and the body, it moves things around in such a way that it can, it can really make things feel better. Gentle movement, like walking, stretching, shaking out tension. I already said that. So seeking support, like therapy, support groups, trusted friends, like the school community, and then listening to your body, honoring your energy levels and rest when when needed. There's this hustle culture mentality that we have in today's society where we feel like we have to perform, like we feel like we have to do the next thing, like we feel like like we just have to keep going, and I don't want to feel that emotion, so I'm going to get super busy so I don't feel that emotion. And both of those are valid. And just know, like, um, you can take a rest, you cannot take a rest, whatever, like, there's no right or wrong way to experience this thing. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? All right. So I am going to do a guided meditation. And with this, just camera on, camera off. Um, and you can re-listen to this whenever you'd like. But the request is to just arrive. take a seat and lie down, or lie down, but not while you're driving. Listen to this when you can. Come to a place where you can be present. Listen to this when you do have a few moments to allow and to feel. So now, just noticing your breath, the gentle inhale and exhale. Sometimes it helps to say in your mind, inhaling as you inhale and exhaling as you exhale. Inhaling, exhaling, and pause. The natural intuitive breath. Inhaling, exhaling, and pause. And as each breath passes, feeling more and more relaxed, more and more grounded. Inhaling, exhaling, pause. Just noticing your breath. No need to time it. Nothing that you need to force, but just breathe. Your natural, intuitive breath. Inhaling and exhaling, and pause. And now just scanning your body all the way from the top of your head, all the way down your spine, down your legs, to the tips of your toes. Noticing any tension, releasing, moving, stretching. No need to readjust or be in a certain way. Just be here, now. And just notice how your body is sitting or laying. And inhaling, exhaling, and pause. Scanning your body, feeling more and more relaxed. And just notice any thoughts that come through. Just becoming aware. Nothing for you to do with them, but just witness. Witnessing them like you would be standing on a beach with the waves rolling in and the waves rolling out. Waves roll in, waves roll out. Thoughts roll in and thoughts roll out. Inhaling and exhaling, and pause. Not yet, but in a moment, I'm going to ask you to do another body scan. This time, we're going to scan our body for any heavier parts, our grieving parts, and just noticing where they are in the body. Now, scan your body and just notice any heavier parts, pointing them out. Maybe there's many, and maybe there's few. Maybe there's none, and that's okay. But just scanning. And as you find them, pull them out like small pebbles and place them in your hand, feeling the weight of each pebble. Scanning the body, finding the weight, pulling them out and placing it in your hand like a pebble. One by one, feeling the weight in your hand. Not yet, but in a minute. I'm going to invite you to my lake. This lake is peaceful, calm. The lake is like a mirror. Not yet, but in a minute. I'm going to invite you to my peaceful, calm lake with water like glass. Now, come to my lake. Come to my peaceful, calm lake with water like glass, standing on the edge, noticing the water. And when you're ready, gently extend your hand over the water and allow the pebbles to fall. Let the pebbles drop. Let them fall. And as they fall, you notice the ripples. And each of these ripples carries a piece of your grief away, spreading it out and softening the edges. Just watch the ripples further and further out, spreading it out, softening the edges. And the lake accepts it. The lake holds it. And the lake transforms it. And as the ripples fade, notice how you feel lighter. No, it's not all gone. You feel lighter. Ripples fade. And now feeling lighter. Your grief isn't gone. It is simply expanded, dissolving into the vastness of the water, becoming part of something greater. And what remains is love. And the water is calm and peaceful, like a mirror, like a glass. And know that you can always return back to this lake and drop more pebbles whenever you'd like. You are always welcome here. But for now, I invite you back. I invite you all the way back to the present moment, feeling the chair or wherever you're sitting or laying, noticing the feeling of being where you are, any sounds, any smells, coming back all the way back here, noticing the inhale and exhale with each breath, inhaling and exhaling. Yes. Nice deep breath in, nice and full, deep chest, deep belly breath. And slowly let it out, sigh it out. Let's do two more. Nice deep inhale, full chest, full belly breath. Slowly releasing, letting it out. Last deep breath in, make it a good one. Slowly sighing it out, wiggling your toes, wiggling your fingers, allowing your eyes to flutter open. And welcome back. You're able to stay there for as long as you'd like. But I'd like to share some meditations with you.
That one was wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Christy. I'm glad you enjoyed it. All right. In true nature, there we go. In true nature, I'd like to offer some resources because, well, resources are great. So I have some journaling prompts. Okay. Again, these are going to be in the classroom. So get in the school community if you're watching this replay. It'll be underneath the video. So journaling prompts. The one, allow yourself the space to express your grief in whatever way feels good, like drawing and letters. There are some times where just like scribbling is great, or writing letters to the people is great. Sometimes we burn the letters, you'll know what feels good for you. Okay. With sharing with loved ones, sharing your grief, I do like, these are just some tips, sharing your feelings openly, using I statements, choosing a right time, acknowledging that we're sharing these emotions, and setting boundaries, like, I don't need your advice. I just need you to listen is often a good one. And when we lose specific people at the same time, sometimes it's nice to say, can we talk about this memory together? Just so we have a bonding moment. That's always nice. With professionals, when it comes to professionals, like if you go see a therapist, be clear with what you want and what you're gaining out of this experience. Ask them questions. Don't be shy. They'll probably be like, oh, wow, I usually don't get questions like this. And just be like, yep, Death Doula Beth told me to ask these questions, and I'm going to make it hard. But you need to, if you're sharing this, it's important to know. So it does take time. It does take time. So um, I want to offer some books. Loss is a trauma. And so these are some wonderful books that I've read. The Mindful Self-Compassion is a workbook, but it's really thorough. The Body Keeps Score is the main focus of like what this whole workshop is about. It's a great read, but it is, if you're not centered, it can make you wobbly. So just know that it gets pretty deep. And What Happened to You is a really great conversational one. I list organizations and websites, other books that are great, other online communities, and you can get NLP session with Yogi Brian. I'm always going to shout him out because he changed my life. I've seen him change other people's lives. If you need a connection, I can definitely get you connected, or you can work one-on-one with me. But ultimately, if you are in crisis, text or call 988. They are there 24/7. And so they're always there. So if you have another resource that isn't in here, please do share them, because again, sharing is caring. And I'm big, big, big on sharing resources. So any questions or comments? Stop sharing my screen.
Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
found you through Yogi Brian,
Oh.
actually. Yeah. And I have some of those books. I just haven't been able to make myself read them yet.
Mm.
I I'll get there. I'll get there. I've a whole collection of books and books that have been given to me, but I just, one step at a time, and I'm just not there yet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. And Yogi Brian has brought a lot of us together.
Yeah.
Fanya's in the group too. So I just so appreciate you for being here, for your honesty, for sharing. Yeah.
Thank you, Beth.
Yeah. Thank you, Christy. And thank you for watching the replay if you're watching the replay. And yeah, so have a great night.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.